We will be talking about Mina and the life after Hajj. So we're going to actually be joined by Sheikh Samir Darwish. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Good to have you on the show. And this is a really good topic for us to start talking about. So please do take it away.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feekum. And thank you for the invitation as well. Yeah, it is very important after any ibadah, any action of worship, to talk about what will happen after this ibadah. If there is nothing is going to happen, so there is something wrong with the ibadah itself. And there is a sort of similarity between fasting and the Hajj. I mean, in terms of the conclusion, in terms of the outcomes, in terms of the consequences. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He prescribed fasting, He said, we have prescribed fasting upon you as we prescribe fasting upon people before you, that you may attain taqwa. So fasting will increase you in taqwa. Okay, what is the similarity between fasting and Hajj? Allah also in Surah Al-Hajj, and we're talking about one of the rituals of Hajj, which is Qurbani, which is slaughtering the animal. People in Hajj and people who are not lucky enough to go to Hajj this year, both of them, they are encouraged to slaughter an animal for the sake of Allah, which is called sacrifice, Qurbani or Udhiyah. In terms of the person who's not performing Hajj, we call it Udhiyah. And for the person who's performing Hajj, we call it Hadiyul Hajj. The same thing. You are slaughtering something for the sake of Allah. And then Allah said it very clearly in Surah Al-Hajj. لَنْ يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. So it will not the meat, it will not the blood that will reach Allah, but it will be the taqwa from yourself. Taqwa in fasting and the taqwa in Hajj. Taqwa after action of worship, like pillar of Islam, fasting, as-siyam, and taqwa after finishing and fulfillment of the pillar, another pillar of Islam, which is Hajj. So the similarity here is the consequences. When I say, what after Hajj? I remember one of the sisters, she really enjoyed Hajj. And every single step we take in Hajj, she's really enjoying. And then in the flight back, when we are coming back to London, she came to me in the flight, in the aeroplane, and she said, how can I know that my Hajj was accepted? And this is the main concern for any worshipper, any believer. Once you do something, you need to know, did Allah accept it? Or there was some shortcoming, there is some shortfalling, there is some mistakes I have done. And this actually is a sign of righteousness, to start asking yourself, did Allah accept it? Because in the first level of believing, of faith, you will start asking about the validity. Is my fasting valid? Is my Hajj valid? Okay, it is valid. And the further step, the higher rank, is to start asking, actually, is my fasting accepted? Is my Hajj accepted? So, and the Al-Hasan al-Basri, one of the righteous people, he used to say, if I knew that one of my sajda was accepted by Allah, it will be better for me than the world and what is between the heavens and the earth. So we cannot know, and we will never be able to know until the day of judgment. But there are some indications, some signs by which you can say, yes, I think my Hajj was accepted. I think. You cannot confirm it, as I said, until until, because it is part of which is related to unseen, al-ghayb. So how can I make sure, how can I have the sign that, like a spark of light, that my Hajj is accepted, my fasting is accepted? Is very simple. The taqwa. If you attain taqwa, if you achieved taqwa, so your fasting was accepted. The purpose because of which fasting was prescribed has been achieved. The same purpose because of which Allah prescribed Hajj has been achieved. Okay, how can I know that I have become more taqi? I acquired and attained more taqwa, because all Muslims have taqwa in their hearts, even those who are mistaken, even those who, no one is free from mistake, including me, myself. So, but we have different levels. Someone is closer to Allah, he has more taqwa. Someone, he needs more guidance, he needs more advice to come closer to Allah, so he will have more taqwa. But how can I know that my taqwa has become higher than before? Simple. Before Hajj, if you haven't been praying, you will start praying when you come back. If you have been careless in terms of committing some types of sins, you will be better. I knew a lot of sisters, without any discriminations, they start wearing hijab after Hajj. They start covering their head after. I know one of the brother, he kept in a sort of debate with his wife. When are you going to cover your head? This sort of very common, popular, between a husband who has become a bit better than before religiously, and his wife, maybe she's excused in a way, because on the time when he proposed her for marriage, she hasn't been muhajjaba at that time. So why you are now, after 10 years, we have 2 kids, you are speaking about hijab? So I always tell our brothers and sisters, just be forgiven somehow, tolerate it especially when you did it in the beginning without you didn't make it as a condition. Okay, it is your right, it is your life, you have the freedom to decide whatever you like, but I would love my wife, my future wife, to be so and such. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. So why you are now blaming her, putting a pressure on her? So the trick here is he took her to Hajj. Okay, let us stop debating, stop arguing. Don't talk about hijab. Let us go to Umrah, let us go to Hajj. She went to Hajj, and when she come back, she couldn't take off the hijab. And she said, no, I cannot actually. Where is the argument? Where is the debate? We used to do that. I cannot. I will feel something will happen between me and Allah. Now I feel I'm closer. Okay, sister, this is a sign that your Hajj was accepted. This is a life after Hajj. You know, I used to tell Hujjaj, every time we go to Hajj, so we finish Hajj in Mecca, and then usually most of the travel agent or the group or whatever, the leader of the group, they take the group to Medina. Always Medina comes after Hajj. So we leave Mecca and we go by coach to Medina. In Medina, I used to know, because if you go to Hajj quite often, you will notice things that people who perform Hajj for the first time, they didn't notice. For me, I was blessed to go many times. So I noticed that when we go to Medina, everyone is beautiful. His face is glowing. His face is shiny. Wow. And I used to say that in hotel in Medina, we have a sort of a lecture or sermon or whatever. And I used to tell them, I see all of you beautiful. Don't get me wrong, sisters. I'm saying your face is is like lighting and glowing and shiny. And this reminds me of the saying of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. He said, the consequences of hasana is a good deed. When you do the good deeds, inna lil hasanati diya'an fil wajh, light in your face. Wa nuran fil qalbi wal qabr, and light in your heart, light in your grave when you die. And quwwatan fil badan, strength in your body physically. Wa sa'atan fil rizq, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase you in provision. Wa mahabbatan fi qulub al khalq, people who didn't used to like you start loving you actually. So you have been a good example for them. They want to be close to you. You notice that people that used to hate me, now they love me. Why? Because of the consequences of the good deeds. You pleased Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleasing your life and making your hereafter even better. So this is just a brief word without organizing about life after Hajj. Yeah. For the people in Mina now, I know that there is a third day and people are finishing Hajj already. Some of them finished the Hajj yesterday because they left Mina 1 day earlier. It is optional to stay in Mina 3 days or 2 days. It's up to everyone. The Prophet ﷺ himself stayed in Mina 3 nights, and he stoned in Jamarat, the first Jamra, the middle Jamra, the third Jamra, 3 days. So 3 nights, 3 days. If you spend 2 nights, you need to stone Jamarat only 2 days. If you spend 3 nights, so you will need to stone Jamarat 3 days. One of the most enjoyable time is the third day of Mina. Ask all people now who decided to add 1 day. It is optional. The Hajj is valid whether you did 2 or 3.
Why is it enjoyable?
Yes, I will tell you. Very good.
Suspense.
Yeah, very Because, let me say, 95% of people usually decide to do 2 nights, 2 days. Only few decide to make the 3 days. Mina is almost empty.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Everyone has one tent to stay in, alone, worshiping Allah by himself.
Yeah.
The queue in front of the facilities, there is no queue. You can use anyone. The VIP one is empty.
Wow. These are top tips.
Luxurious. Not only that, you feel that, you know, when you do something and people, during the people unawareness, so people sleeping and you are doing night prayers. People do not pay, the people tight now, cost of living, we are very mean, we don't pay charity, and you go and you are generous and you still pay charity. When you do something, whilst people are not doing it, it is more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable. Believe me, every I'm waiting for this night and for this day. It's additional dates, tiring, and you are tired already. You came from Arafah, you came from Muzdalifah, and now you, Sheikh, you spend 3 nights. I tell some of the brothers and sisters, please try to push yourself to do it. You will never regret. And yes, when you go to Jamarat, there is no one in Jamarat. There is no. It's not busy at all. There is no crowd, and you can take photos when you do Jamarat and stoning the shaitan. It's not a space, and you enjoy it. Any flow, even the road to Mecca, to go back to Mecca, is empty, enjoyable, and people who are distributing water in this hot weather, they didn't find any Hujjaj to give water, so we can take a pack of water like this. Yesterday it was busy, it was crowded, it was people everywhere. It's not easy to stone Jamarat. You need to specify a good time. So those sort of things. So I assume that people now who spend the third night going back to Mecca to do the farewell tawaf. They take a shower in the hotel and then they go to do the farewell tawaf. Farewell tawaf is very emotional, very touching. You are leaving Mecca. You are leaving the Hajj. After all this suffering, after all this tiredness, after all this walking, sometimes we walk 30 or 40 kilometers. If you want to lose weight, go to Hajj. Yeah. So the farewell tawaf is very touching. I don't think that there will be anyone, even those who used to be heartless. I don't think in the farewell tawaf he will control himself not to cry. Because now you are saying, I'm leaving, O house of Allah, O Mecca, O Haram, I'm leaving. And you never know whether you will be able to come back or not. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, the touching end note with your talk about life after Hajj, there isn't a dry eye in the house of Allah.
Yeah.
In the final day. So that's you really sold it to someone like me who really wants to go for Hajj, inshallah. So I think what you started talking to us about taqwa.
Yeah.
For the viewers who are unfamiliar with the term, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what taqwa is?
Right. The taqwa is derived from the word wiqaya. Wiqaya is in English can be translated, the nearest translation is precautions. And sometimes wiqaya is tuqya, so you make barrier between you and something. So if I said ittaqillaha, so fear Allah, we translate it usually fear Allah, but the real meaning is to make barrier between yourself and Allah's anger. Right? Ittaqu dunya, the worldly life. It means to make barrier between you and the fitna, the temptation of dunya. So this is the taqwa as a general term. Imam Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, he defined the taqwa very perfectly. He said taqwa is al-khawf min al-jalil. Khawf min al-jalil, fearing the jalil, Allah. Wal-amalu bit-tanzil. Tanzil, Quran. Amalu bit-tanzil, practicing the tanzil, the revelation. والاستعداد ليوم الرحيل. يوم الرحيل, the day when you die. So you get prepared for death. والرضا بالقليل. To be content even if you don't have but little. So to be content, to prepare for death, and to fear Allah, and to practice your religion. This is the taqwa. So it's actually a very general term that includes everything in religion. So when we say you have become having more taqwa, it means that you have become more practicing. More practicing. The things that you didn't used to do, you start doing it now. The things that, which is mistakes or sins that you used to commit, you abstain from it now. So to follow Allah's commandments and to abstain from what Allah has forbidden, this is the term taqwa in general. So when you fast, the taqwa will become easier for you. The scholar said, in terms of fasting, the scholar said, because actually during fasting, you have abstained from something permissible.
Yeah.
Drink is permissible usually. Food, if it is halal food, it's permissible. The relationship between husband and wife is permissible. But you left all of that to obey Allah. So you left something actually halal to please Allah. This will make the haram thing to leave it even easier. Yeah? Okay, what is the taqwa in Hajj? Scholar said, when you go to Hajj, you have a lot of concerns and worries about mahdhurat, something new. Sheikh, can I wear perfume? No, it has become forbidden now. Sheikh, some of the Hujjaj, they used to ask us very funny questions. They say, Sheikh, what if I brush my teeth now? No, it is okay. It's still okay. It's not everything has become haram, people. There's just a few things to make a spiritual training for yourself. Why I'm here? Why I'm in this place? To obey Allah. Why I'm stoning this people? Why I'm doing this? To obey Allah. Why I'm doing tawaf around the stone, a big stone house made of stone, bricks? To obey Allah. Why I'm doing sa'i between a big stone mountain, Safa, and mountain Marwa, to obey Allah. So it is all about labbaik Allahumma, I'm here to obey you. So when you pass this test successfully, you will attain taqwa automatically, spontaneously, without even being aware, unconsciously, let us say. Yeah? Because you are doing things that is abnormal for you, unusual for you. You are staying in a place that people usually do not want to stay. You know that Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafah, those three places, from Adam, the father of humanity, peace be upon him, until now, there is no inhabitants, there is no houses, permanent houses. It is empty place. And even Saudi brothers from Saudi, they used to tell us, those places actually is not a good places to go anytime other than Hajj. Why? Because in the whole Mecca, they are the most dangerous places in terms of snakes, in terms of scorpions, those deadly things.
Yes.
And subhanallah, 1 month, they tell us, people of Mecca, the Saudi people, 1 month before Hajj, all those creations disappeared.
They make way.
Like they know.
They make way for the Hajjis.
They given the area for Hujjaj
Wow.
to come. They are preparing the area. So you are coming to a place where no one will have this willingness to be found there. And from a specific time to specific time, from Fajr to sunset in Arafah, from sunset to Fajr in Muzdalifah, and then you come back to Mina, and then you stay here 2 or 3 nights, as we mentioned earlier. Why? Oh, the question why here is what the answering is one thing. I'm here to obey you, O Allah. And you have this kind of worries. Sheikh, wearing socks is halal or haram? What are we talking about? And there is no internet, there is no TV, there is no Netflix. It is only worshiping place, worshiping time, worshiping occasion. So
Time must slow down. Because when you don't have those distractions,
Yes.
the day must seem very long.
No, yes, exactly. But the idea is now you are concerning about something very tiny.
Yeah.
You are now concerning to displease Allah in even something small. You are coming to us, waking me up in the night. Sheikh, I have done a big problem. What did you do? I covered my head while I'm sleeping. My Hajj is okay or not? Okay, brother. Okay, your Hajj will be invalid if you wake me up again. This brother, maybe in back home, he used to do filthy things. He used to do bad stuff. He used to drink maybe wine. He used to do maybe big things. And now he's talking to the sheikh, waking him up to make sure that covering his head by mistake doesn't actually affect his Hajj. So look at this. He will come back a different person.
Yes.
Okay, if you want, I know some people, some brother, young brother, who went to Hajj as a mahram. He didn't want to go. He has no intention to go. He's not willing to go. What is the Hajj? I'm still young. I need to enjoy my life. But his mother, she said, you have to come with me. I don't have mahram. Right? He went there, he came another person.
Wow. Subhanallah.
He didn't have the intention, but he went there, he witnessed Arafah, he witnessed what it is, what's happening, what those people, 3 million to 1 million came just to please Allah. Oh, and I'm now one of them. And he listened to a lecture, now your dua is answered. Okay, oh Allah, guide me. Guide me? You are guided, brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and he will come back.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking us through the journey of how the Hujjaj have attained so many different levels of taqwa, God consciousness, and through the actions, through their behaviors. And I think more importantly, through their behaviors of showing compassion and love to their fellow brother and sister. And I think if there's anything that can show that heightened level of taqwa, it is kindness to our brothers and sisters with a good heart. And I think that's the lasting legacy of the Hajj.
Of course, the religion includes everything, morals, in terms of the treatment with other, the relationship between husband and wife. The religion actually cover every single point.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Samir. And inshallah, we will have you back on the show to talk to us more about these stories. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the show, sadly. But we